It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, October 9th to Saturday, October 15th. So last week we had Mercury finally go direct on the 2nd. And although many of us were hoping to feel lighter and brighter and to see things actually move forward, the opposition with Neptune definitely kept us in a state of confusion. Things have been very low, very slow. Of course, we can kind of expect that with Mercury being in Virgo energy. Although its place of power, it's still in Earth energy. Everything is low and slow. Everything takes its sweet ass time. We are definitely feeling the frustration build because of it. Now, with Mercury going direct, yes, our mental planes have picked up just a little bit, just a tad. There is a lot of things bouncing around there like a pinball machine, trying to really sort through and discern the truth from the lies, I'm going to say future from the past, mostly because we are doing a lot of reflection still, really trying to piece together all of the things that have transpired over the past month, really, truly trying to make sense of them all. And now that Mercury is direct and kind of awake from his unconscious slumber, he's working very, very hard to try and get things up to speed, to gain a full picture. Of course, this opposition to Neptune is really making that very difficult. However, we had that first quarter moon in Capricorn energy on the 2nd as well. And this definitely put us in a situation where we felt the urgency in order to boss up, to take control over some of the aspects that we actually have control over. And although Mercury being direct means that we are actively moving forward, Neptune kind of applied a blindfold on us. So here we had this energy of wanting to move forward, wanting to take action, wanting to initiate a path, a direction to actually see us progress. And many of us having ants in our pants, still blindfolded, we're just kind of tapping around in our environments, moving forward for the sake of just having change, but not really knowing what direction we're taking, what particular path we should be walking. Now, that confusion is going to be breaking up here very slowly, but surely, and we are going to see a lot of those puzzle pieces snap together, revealing a greater, grander picture on what it is that we're actually moving towards. Of course, this past week has been jam-packed, filled with solar flares. And with that comes extreme ascension symptoms. Now, all of these solar flares that we have had definitely pop off from the sun back to back will be landing in our little realm of existence here this weekend. We have a super jam-packed weekend. If you have not listened to October's energy forecast or downloaded your zodiac forecast, you're going to want to do that. This is a pivotal point of change and transformation here this weekend. We're going to dive into the events and what that means for us, but I really need y'all to stay ahead of the energy. I need you to do your due diligence. I need you to stay informed, to listen to it on repeat. You cannot afford to be taken off guard at this particular point in the process. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in just a second. But we've been building towards Pluto going direct, the great transformer himself. And having Pluto go direct is initiating the kind of transformation that we absolutely need to take. And I want to give you a visual here. Think of the phoenix, okay? The phoenix on fire really destroys itself, kind of results into a puddle of ash, and then redeems itself and flies out of that pile of ash as a brand new, more empowered being. That's exactly what we are all doing with Pluto going direct. This last 5.5, 6 months has been an inner destruction, if you will, of the old parts of us where pain and trauma and fear have been blocking us from actually standing in our power, claiming our sovereignty, and truly taking control over our lives. This is like the bust out point when Superman kind of sheds his everyday type of look in order to actually put the suit on and embody the qualities and characteristics of the superhero that goes ahead and saves the world. So this is a very pivotal point where we're all going to be kind of hulking out of our damaged, broken selves and stepping into a place of empowerment where we're able to really boss up and to see what actually needs to be done, not fearing the kind of doubts and insecurities and obstacles and circumstances that we've been paralyzed under for quite some time. Of course, Pluto is going to go direct just hours before we have our full moon in Aries energy. This is going to be a banger of a full moon for a couple of reasons. I'm going to briefly summarize it, but I do encourage you to download that moon guide. Okay, so first of all, full moon, releasing point, ending point. We got a lot to get off of our chests. In Aries energy, this is a brand new moon cycle that we are entering into here in harvest season, as we've already had the equinox. And let me just break it down very, very briefly for you. This particular full moon is sitting next to Chiron, the wounded healer, who both the full moon and Chiron are sitting across from the sun and Venus. Now, I don't know if this is making sense to anyone else out there, but let me just say, this is going to be a boiling point. This is going to be a purge point of anger, of frustrations. This is basically that volcano that has been bubbling for quite some time, finally reaching the explosive point. Why do we need to have this happen? First of all, we need to purge the lower vibrations, the lower frequencies of the lower emotional realm that many of us are still holding on to in our lower chakra, where survival is concerned, where anger, passion, desires are concerned. This is the Aries energy. We have Chiron, the wounded healer, basically the Christ consciousness, really kind of examining where it is that we've had to bear the wounds, bear the pain, bear the trauma, bear the sins of our existence, and where it is that we are basically evolving through this certain death. Again, Pluto going direct, this certain death, this certain transformation where we are releasing these lower vibrations and frequencies in order to rise above into a better energy, into a new state of awareness, a new state of enlightenment. And of course, we have the sun in Libra shining a bright light on our pain and trauma, on this Hulk out, on this boiling point, on this volcanic eruption, in order for us to purge the old and align with the higher self. Venus is right there, the goddess of love, the goddess of worth, value, money. Okay, she is standing very firmly in Libran energy in her place of power, really showing us where it is that we are transforming by getting rid of those lower emotions, those lower vibrations and frequencies, and transmuting it all into love. And this is going to be a very powerful time. And let me just kind of drop this golden nugget on you. From now until about March of 2023, all of our moon events are going to be highly charged for one reason and one reason only. This is the very final chapter that we have to wake people up. For those people that are still asleep, when it comes March of 2023, that's it for them. They have aligned, they have committed to the 3D realm. We are going to see a new group of people awaken under this full moon in Aries. And conversely, on the polar opposite of what awakening is, we're also going to see a huge group of people lose their effing minds. And that is just the choice point, the contract that each one of us human beings are honoring at this particular point in the ascension process. There's a lot going on in March of 2023, mostly with Pluto and Saturn moving into different energies, different signs. It's a huge deal. And there is this, I'm going to say, desperate urgency in these highly energetic moon events to shake us up, to wake us up. For those of us who are awakened, we are doing a deep clean, a deep purge of these lower vibrational frequencies that still have us connected to the 3D realm. And we are constantly having to push the boundaries of our comfortability in order for us to constantly be stepping up to the next level to assure that we're not going to be dragged down into the lower vibrations and frequencies because of all the confusion, because of our loved ones not waking up, because of the shit show going on the global stage right now. We have to be locking into the high vibrations, the higher realms of frequency. And so this full moon in Aries that we have coming at us here on Sunday is going to be an absolute freaking banger. It is going to be a game changer. It is coming with a lot of fury, a lot of fire, because fire is transformative. Fire not only activates the anger, the frustration, the irritability, it allows us to channel that into inspiration, initiative, beginnings. And that's exactly what a volcano eruption gives us the opportunity to do. We see this lava spewing out this magnificent, beautiful, dangerous substance that is scary as hell, but yet very awe-inspiring at the same time. And when this lava just kind of flows down and it rips through, just burning, scorching the land around it, what it's doing is it's providing a cleansing to the earth, because the land, the greenery, the life that comes after that lava kind of burns through the earth is regenerative. It is a clean slate, is a brand new beginning. And it comes back greener than ever, with more life than ever. And that's exactly what we're going through. As you may know, we are kind of shifting the ages here. We are in a death and rebirth cycle, collectively speaking. And we're going through the birthing process, as we have for quite some time now, since the Great Awakening has taken place. And birth is beautifully painful. It is absolutely destructive in its beautiful creation. And we're getting to the last little, I'm going to say, segment of the birthing period where, we're pushing and we're screaming, and there's lots of disgusting things coming at us, and we have to persevere, and we don't think that we can take any more, and we have to kind of dig deep, because there is no quitting when you are pushing and giving birth to new life. You have to continue on that path. You have to push forward. You have to remain conscious in order to do it. And that can be a very scary thing. That's why many of us are feeling very heavy, very weighted at this particular time, because the collective is tapping into the fear. And for so many years now, for so many life cycles, many of us have been avoiding fear. Many of us have been disassociating from it, burying our head in the sand. And we are at the stage, the journey of this ascension process where we have to remain conscious and face our fears. Courage, okay, I want to talk about courage for a second. Courage is the act of doing what is right and pushing forward while the fear is right in your face. If we were to disassociate to the extent where we are numb to our fear and we continue to move on, that is just delusion. And we're in a very important time right now of shifting the collective vibration into a state of courage, because things are getting ugly. We have never been at this particular point of Earth or humans' evolution where the scales, and again, may I just remind you that the war has already been won in other realms. It's just taken its sweet ass time to manifest and give us those results here in this Earth realm. But we had reached a tipping point back in 2018, 2019, where, the light woke up, where Mother Earth herself, Gaia, woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to, just lay around and let myself be raped and pillaged of my resources and my beauty and my power. And this is when the Great Awakening actually took place. And this is when we started the ascension journey, because Mother Earth is going through her own ascension process. And, at that particular point, the dark had thought that it was winning, thought it was in power. And ever since then, we have been gaining more strength and more momentum as light workers, as light warriors. And we have never been this far in the war as we are right now. And unfortunately for us, it is always the darkest right before the dawn. And unfortunately for us, we have to remain 100% in our conscious awareness to face the ugliness that's coming up in the collective as of right now. And again, it is up to us light workers to really kind of anchor in the light to hold the grid down, while new people awaken to new levels of chaos and confusion and fears and insecurities, while those of us that have been awake and doing this job for a very long time are reaching a brand new point of exhaustion. And so we're hustling hard from now until March 2023. It is going to totally change the game in March of 2023. And we really have to kind of dig deep at this particular point in time, with this full moon in Aries taking us into this next chapter, let's say, that will take us all the way up to Aries season beginning in March of 2023. So we're in the last quarter of the game here, and we really have to hustle. And, there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of, just overall physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual exhaustion. But, when we take a look at any kind of sport that we got going on out there in the world, it's always in the very last final moments of the game that you have to dig the deepest and that you have to really inspire yourself to continue to push yourself forward. There is a war to be won here, even though it has been won on other realms. We still have to do our part. We are contractually binded to fulfilling this mission, to fulfilling this purpose, so to speak. And it's kind of showing the weight that we have been having to bear. We're showing that very easily now. We, again, are just growing to a point of exhaustion. We are growing to a point of not really knowing how we're going to dig deep and muster up the courage and the bravery to continue to fight this fight. But like I said, you don't quit in the final moments when that beautiful baby's head is about to crown. That's when you dig deep and you really recognize your strength and you give it all that you got in order to actually bring this brand new life into the world and see your creation actually come into fruition. So we got a lot going on. And, this week, right after the full moon in Aries takes place, that is going to be an absolute game changer, a ripple effect in kind of purging some of the lower frequency and vibrations and cleaning the slate in order for us to be motivated and inspired and determined to really align with a new level of enlightenment and awareness. Just hours after, we have Mercury moving back into Libra energy. Now, up until about the 17th, we are still kind of floating through the early degrees that Mercury, experienced back in September, up until that 8th degree, which, of course, is when Mercury went retrograde. So up until the 17th, we are still kind of retracing our steps from the end of August, the beginning of September, up until now. And then after the 17th, we are kind of gifted with the green light go-ahead from the cosmos, from the universe, to get the party started, to start aggressing ourselves in our realms in order to go after what it is that we want. We will essentially be in brand new territory after we reach that 8th degree of Libran energy. And then we can really get that party started. Mercury moving back into the Libran energy is going to definitely give us the signs, the symbols, the validation that Mercury is definitely direct. So the feelings that we would have expected to feel on the 2nd when Mercury actually went direct, we will be feeling that when Mercury moves into Libran energy, mostly because we have created a little bit of distance with that Neptune opposition, and B, that Libran energy really is a lot easier to deal with than the the Earth energy of Virgo, because Libran energy is air energy. So we're all up in the mental plane, but we're bringing balance to some of the thoughts, some of the ideas, some of the information that we've been processing. And so we are going to feel a much lighter vibe when Mercury dips back into Libran energy just shortly after that full moon in Aries peaks. So that is this week in a nutshell. I will say to you that the solar flares always end up landing here and really affecting this realm and our physical bodies around the times that we have energetic shifts taking place with the planets. And as I just kind of ran down for you, between Pluto and the full moon and Mercury on the move, all within, hours of each other, spanning over the next 3 days, we are definitely in for some energetic symptoms coming out of the discomfort of our physical bodies, receiving new light codes that are maximizing and helping our energetic body grow to the point where our energetic body, our soul self, is much larger than our physical meat suits can actually handle at this particular time. And that's why we're feeling some of the physical pain, some of the physical discomfort. So before we actually jump into the Ascension symptoms for this week, I just want to take a minute to go ahead and thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for those of you who jumped over to my Patreon. I'm really excited because I've had a little bit of time to explore some of the features over there and what it is now that I'm going to bring to life over there. I will be pouring a lot more time and attention into my Patreon. With private podcasts, with, being able to answer some of your questions directly. Of course, I'm already doing, the energy updates, the Ascension symptoms, the remedies, the moon moods over there, of course, with the weekly insights and the zodiac forecasts for particular tier subscribers. I want to thank you so much for shifting over there, for all the love and support over there. And if you haven't joined me over there, I would definitely recommend that you at least download the app, at least follow my page so that you can get the notifications of the free content that I put out in the world for everybody to stay ahead upon. And of course, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, there are different topics and themes of interest over there that could really kind of excite you. And of course, you could subscribe to that and kind of expand some of the information, some of the content that I will be putting out. And hopefully, we got a new group of people that are about to awaken. So I might have to start, back on the, I'm going to say, beginner realms of what the awakening is all about, and the Schumann resonance is all about, and the great solar flash is all about, and what this whole process is about. But nonetheless, I will be putting out some, I'm going to call it bonus content over and above what it is that I have been doing. And you will find that on my Patreon. So thank you so much for coming on over there. I just want to remind you, if you have not listened to your zodiac forecast as of yet, I'm going to recommend you do that. October to December is a very, very pivotal time for us throughout this year. If you have listened to the energy forecast for 2022 that I put out at the beginning of the year, you would know that honestly, up until now, I'm not going to call it a cakewalk because it hasn't been a cakewalk, but we definitely were kind of getting off a little bit easy up until this point in the calendar. So wrapping up the final months in 2022 are going to be super intense. You're going to see a lot of change. Mercury being retrograde this past time, with all of the other planets being in a retrograde at that time, really did kind of, destroy us in a lot of ways and just kind of mix things up for us. And we do have eclipse season coming at us here at the end of October. And that, in a way, will kind of sort us out. Again, we get the wild card energy from eclipse season. The universe kind of puts us on the path that we failed to put ourselves on, helps us put the pieces back together from some of the damage and destruction that has taken part over the last couple of months with this very intense retrograde season. And definitely getting us more in alignment with our mission, with our purpose, and especially where it is that we have to be and what it is that we have to be focused on in order to successfully bring 2022 to a close. Because I'm telling you, going into 2023 and into 2024, it is going to be an absolute banger of a time to be alive. I say that with both excitement and with apprehension. I should really be focused on getting my energy forecast for 2023 together. I will, of course, be releasing that to my subscribers, early access over on Patreon before it hits YouTube. And I have a weird little inclination that maybe I should be doing a long-term astrology forecast so that we can understand what the next couple of years actually looks like for us. I mean, we are prepping for the revolution right now. For the rebellion, there is going to be a wild wild turn of events over these next couple of years. And we know that based off of A, history trying to repeat itself, and B, it's all written in the stars, my friends. And that's why astrology is such a great tool, because we get to see what is going to go on. Now, I just want to kind of just mention something very, very loosely here. Astrology and numerology are essentially the cheat codes to the matrix, to the simulation that we're currently in. So if you think of this world being built off of, zeros and ones, because that's how you essentially build a matrix with, governing laws and systems and structures and, time and all of those restrictions in life, numerology and astrology are really the cheat codes. And what we know is that the evildoers in this particular game of life, they use astrology for their own agenda. And I just want to put it out there because there is a lot of confusion over, astrology, and a lot of confusion on whether it's good or bad or it's part of the occult or whatever. Let me just remind you, knowledge is power. And what you do with that knowledge, what you do with that power essentially makes it quote unquote good or bad. So knowing about astrology, knowing what is coming, knowing the potential of what the evildoers could have planned for particular astrological events means that us light workers that are here to kind of, save the world from the dark force agenda, we need to stay just as aligned, just as ahead of the game as the dark force agenda does to some of these astrological events so that we can kind of counterattack what it is that they will have planned for their own agenda. And that's why I feel like astrology is super important. Yeah, it's cryptic. Yeah, it could unfold in many different ways, but it does kind of give us a basic pattern, a basic cycle on what it is that, the dark force agenda is going to use to their advantage. So why do we not use these events to our advantage? I've definitely been trying. This is why I do what I do. You may not realize it, but the daily energy forecasts that I put out aren't just created in order to help you have a better day or to help you sort through your particular healing journey. It's also trying to keep everyone aligned with the same energy and vibration and frequency because, yes, on I'm going to say a micro level, we're talking about helping you get through your individual day in your individual realm, in your individual life. But on a macro level, if we're all doing the best that we can do for ourselves, then collectively we're coming together and we are forced to be reckoned with. And so I do have a little bit of an ulterior motive in doing what I do and offering these energy forecasts out into the world. Yes, I want to help you through the run of your day, but your individual awareness and stage of enlightenment contributes wholeheartedly to where it is that the collective is at. And if I can get everybody on the same page and everybody doing the best that they can for themselves and truly aligning themselves with their authentic self, their mission, their higher self, their purpose in life, then, collectively, we're on the right page with one another and we are a force to be reckoned with. So that was my little bit of a spiel on astrology. That's why I put out the forecast that I do. And that's why I encourage you to, download your zodiac forecast, focus on your rising sign and your sun sign. If you feel the need to, follow your moon sign as well and make sure that you have the big picture of the big three working for you, then by all means do that. But definitely stay ahead of the game, stay informed, stay knowledgeable so that we can override this system that wants us to fail, basically. So hopefully I will have the moon guide ready to be published here very, very shortly. I'm hoping as I'm coming to you live Friday evening that it's already out there for you to download. This is going to be a very deep one because like I said, we do have Chiron, the wounded healer, really kind of exposing us to a new level of release and a new level of, I'm going to say, enlightenment. Once that release has actually taken place, this is going to be a game changer. We are leveling up in our abilities. We are leveling up in our consciousness, and we have to make sure that we are doing the work, the shadow work and the light work in order to stay balanced, stay in alignment, and more importantly, stay whole through this process. So with all of that being said, I do want to talk about the ascension symptoms that we can expect for this week. Just a interesting note, let's say, this week we are starting a moon cycle, again, with the full moon in Aries, which means that we're halfway through Libra season. But let me just say that when we start off a week with the moon in Aries, it means that we will be kind of essentially starting at the beginning of the zodiac wheel. And when we start off in Aries and we end off this week in Cancer energy, the moon is in her place of power in Cancer, mind you. We're essentially going through the very first 4 houses, 4 signs that build our identity. So, Aries energy is the ego identity. It's the life force energy. It's the spark. It's the fire. It's the flame that needs to be ignited in order for us to actually have a mission, have a purpose, have a direction, have a path that we're excited, that we're passionate about, that we're inspired to actually pursue. We move into Taurus energy, which is an earth energy that helps us kind of ground out that fire energy, plant that seed in the earth, build new routines, foundations for ourselves, really kind of get in alignment with what it is that we need to do to take care of ourselves, to nurture ourselves, and to see how that tender, loving care that we're putting into ourselves betters all of the relationships that we have in our lives as well. When we move into the Gemini energy, of course, that is the mental plane. And the mental plane energy needs us to kind of sort through the pros and cons of some of the ideas, some of the, the projects, the goals, the dreams that we're looking to bring to life, and identifying, where it is that we have to kind of find a middle ground, a common, I'm going to say, common point of agreement between the ego and our higher self, between, I'm going to call it good and bad, when realistically good and bad really doesn't exist. But of course, in the Gemini energy being ruled over by the twins, it's very dualistic. It's very polarized. It's when we have to kind of move into the mental plane and apply logic and practicality to some of the fire, some of the flames, some of the passion, some of the desires that, of course, we're bringing to life under the Aries energy, and that we have gotten to kind of root in, planting the seeds of, and get to building and creating in this Taurus energy. And then by the time we actually enter into Cancer energy, we are getting in touch with our heart space. We are sitting with our emotions. We are kind of recognizing where it is that new foundations need to be built in order to actually provide ourselves with the safety and security that we need in our identity, in ourselves, in our lives, in the realms of our existence. So it is kind of interesting where we are having this full moon in Aries that is going to kind of cleanse our palate, so to speak, of the not so nice emotions and thoughts and all these vibrations and frequencies that are trapped in our physical body. We get all that out. We let the volcano kind of erupt, so to speak, and then we turn that energy into inspiration, motivation, and determination to jump into something new, to initiate something new, to bring a new part of us to life. So it's very inspiring. I love taking a look at, how the patterns and the cycles kind of align. And of course, we just came out of a week where the pattern was that every single day, other than one day, we had the moon void, of course, right before going to bed, and staying void, of course, until we woke up the next day and locking into a different energy. That's why our sleep states have been absolutely just bonkers. That's why our dream states have been bonkers. I'm going to dive a little bit more into that in this Ascension symptom forecast. But basically what I want to kind of, allude you to is that the moon starting off in this Aries energy this week and carrying us into Cancer really kind of covers the first quadrant, if you will, of the zodiac wheel, where we are kind of, I'm going to say, bringing to life new parts of our identity. And because we have been going through this identity crisis and essentially this rebranding, this reinvention of self, this in combination with Pluto going direct, in combination with Mercury finally getting a little bit of clarity, we are in this very interesting opportunity window where we are finalizing who it is that we are, where we are bringing new aspects to life, where we are able to initiate and take action on some of the things that we've been sitting with and resolved within us already because of the retrograde season that we all just went through. So I see that as being a super interesting pattern to just kind of be aware of. Now, let me just give you a little bit of a hope here. What we can experience, although October is super intense, we have 3 planets coming out of a retrograde, and we have 1 planet going in, and we have eclipse season as well, which is just bonkers. But this is the time when we start seeing the results of whatever we've been going through for the past 6 months. So it hasn't been fun. It hasn't been, a very fun adventure at all. But we've had to go through this particular chapter of damage and destruction within ourselves, within our lives, in order to basically be reborn like the phoenix. Okay. So as these planets come out of a retrograde and go direct, this is where we get to take action in the external realm to make right with some of the situations that we've already kind of made peace with within ourselves. And this is when stability comes. This is what we've been aiming for, is stability. And because we are halfway through Libra season, and we know that because we're having the full moon in Aries, that's the halfway point, by the way, we are more leaning into finding peace, finding balance, finding harmony, finding love, finding happiness, finding joy, the positive qualities of Libran energy. We have to consider the fact that Libran energy is the scales. The scales have been out of whack, and we find those lovely things that I just rattled off by the extremes in life, by the chaos, by the dysfunction, by the discontentment, by the unhappiness of some of the circumstances and situations that we've been in. But now that we're at the halfway point, essentially speaking, the full moon in Aries is the point in Libra seasons where the scales are coming into balance. And now as we move, further and further away from that halfway point of Libra season, we will see those scales become out of balance again, but in our favor of finding stability, peace, and harmony, and balance, and love, and pleasure, and joy, and all that fluffiness. Now, we still have a ways to go. Doesn't mean that somebody, snaps their fingers and suddenly everything is tickety-boo. We still do have a lot of different aspects that will be helping us kind of redefine what balance and stability actually looks like for us, what peace and harmony actually looks like for us, what happiness actually looks like for us. We do have some, reprocessing to kind of go through. And again, we're opening ourselves up to some karmic events that we're not going to have any control over with eclipse season. And of course, with Saturn going direct on the 23rd. So again, another reason to continuously be listening to that October energy forecast and to the zodiac forecast that I put out, because each and every single time you listen, you get something else revealed. There's something else that triggers you. There's something else that gets activated in you. There's aha moments that come full circle, and it just feels like new and more layers get revealed than the first time that you listen to that particular information. So when we consider the fact that, we are going through an ending, we are preparing for a new beginning, we are, kind of leaning into the chapter to the series of life now where we are going to find a little bit of balance, a little bit of stability, when we are kind of, prepared to see the results for the inner work, the trials and tribulations that we've gone through over this last 6 months, when we're starting to see the rewards and blessings for that. What I will say is that physically speaking, we are going to go through a purge and a release. That's what we expect to do under the full moon. But what I want to say is that the ascension symptoms that we've been experiencing as of late have felt like they did in the beginning when you first awakened and when things were very heavy and hurting all the time, when you were constantly questioning whether you were coming down with a cold, with a flu. Those particular symptoms are going to be at the top of the list, especially this week, because we are essentially bridging the gap between endings and beginnings. We are essentially watching parts of us die. Again, Pluto going direct, parts of us die, that phoenix being in a pile of ash, and then redemption, resurrection, renewal coming once again. Many times, a cold and a flu that takes place in the physical body is not your body under attack from a virus or from bacteria, which, in some cases, obviously that could be the case. But essentially, your body gets to a point where it needs to be cleansed. It needs to regenerate. So what happens is we get all gunked up with phlegm, with, snot, with basically, essentially, mucus and inflammation. And this is what kind of causes the symptoms that we classically see with a cold and flu. And we need to get the snot out. We need to get the phlegm out. We need to have a fever and burn off and purify our blood, so to speak, to detox our organs. And no, it does not feel good. But, what in life that actually matters, that actually creates change, does feel good. Change does not feel good. And, it's something that we get pressurized into and triggered and activated into because we want something different. And we usually arrive to wanting and needing something different because we're tired of the pain, of the uncomfortability, of the situations and circumstances that have, carried us into this breaking point. So what I will say is that, feeling like you're coming down with a cold, feeling like you're getting the flu, having all of this excess mucus in your body trying to come out is absolutely normal for this particular stage of the game when we are essentially reinventing ourselves and coming out of what has been a very destructive time for our energetic selves, for our physical selves. We have all kinds of endings taking place and beginnings, not quite being initiated. But we're going through the system and the cycle right now where a detox is needed. So you need to do everything that you need to do in order to make this cleansing period as easy as possible, where making this detox is as easy as possible. And if you're not familiar with detoxes, then you should definitely educate yourself on what it is that you need to be doing in order to help the physical body make the kind of changes that are needed in order to adapt to the energetic symptoms and changes that are currently taking place because of the ascension process. We're talking like metal detoxes, TRS advanced spray. It's an amazing thing. We're talking about parasite cleanses, which, here in this Western world isn't necessarily as common as it should be. If you take a look at any of the other places in the world outside of, the Americas, parasite cleanses are done, with the change of the seasons. And it's absolutely essential, especially with our crappy food, that we are cleansing our bodies of these parasites that are just, pushing the unhealthy narrative that many of us are living in. We have some very weird, strange ailments and diseases that have only kind of popped up in the last, I'm not going to say couple of years, because to me, a couple of years could mean decades. But at the same time, we know that our food is being altered. Our food is being basically poisoned in order to keep us in a state of declining health. Why? Because that's how they make their money, and especially in the Americas, we are so uneducated about our bodies, about our diets, about what it is that we consume and how to keep a healthy state of being. And, when we go through these particular changes where we are about to level up in our energetic selves, and of course the repercussions that means and that takes on our physical bodies, we really have to kind of be better in making sure that we are giving our physical body the kind of healthy environment that we should all be living in order to make these dramatic changes and transformations. So, get on to the detox and start putting, the good things in your body that's going to help clear out these issues, these ailments, especially this mucus. So, we are going to experience the sore throat or the lump in the throat or the clearing of the throat again. Still, the throat chakra being hugely activated here in Libra season. We have a lot of truth being revealed to us that is sparking and activating and triggering a new truth within us that we've been holding and harboring in for far too long as we've been moving through this retrograde season. And now we just want to scream. We're on the battlefield, just screaming the scream of the warrior that is about to charge through on his last leg of the energy, the passion, the desire that we have definitely definitely been lacking here as of late. And we do have to kind of scream that battle cry out in a brand new way, to be heard, to speak our truth, to get a lot of the ideas, to get a lot of what it is that we've been bouncing around in our inner realm out of our physical bodies. Again, coming with the full moon in Aries, it is time to kind of rage out, to hulk out, to kind of let some of these energies and ideas get out of our physical body and clean the slate. Keep the fluids to you. Of course, that's going to help kind of move things along. I want to speak about multiple people reaching out over this past week with complaints over their kidneys, having a little bit of dysfunction, a little bit of pain, a little bit of sensitivity down there. This is part of the detox process as well. You are going to be, focusing on the organs that we have two of. We're in Libra season. We have to balance those scales. Our lungs, our kidneys, right? We have to take a look at our extremities. We have to take a look at balancing the system, balancing the scale within us. And it is not an easy feat. It does not feel good. And we're going to continue to kind of cleanse the palate, so to speak, in order for us to accept some of these energetic upgrades. Now, our sensory systems have been jacked up every single time that we reach a new level of receiving light codes from the solar flares popping off. We're definitely seeing a change in our central nervous system, in our sensory perception, and our eyes are changing as of late because, again, we are seeing new layers of truth be revealed. It is very hard to see the landscape of our lives that we thought we knew change so rapidly. It is hard to take a good look at the people around us and the true colors that they're actually exposing to us. It is hard to look in the mirror and to see ourselves so rapidly changing. It is hard for our eyes to even align with some of the changes that we've had to adapt to. Because of this, you could have eye crusties, you could have a sty in your eye, you could have quivering going on in your eyelid. You could have blurriness taking place in your eye. Eye boogers are going to be a new thing because, again, that is mucus related as well. And it just feels like we're constantly trying to gain our vision back. Things are blurry. It's hard to adjust to. So pay attention to your eyes. You may be rubbing your eyes a lot lately. You may be experiencing a lot more eyelashes falling out as of late, because, again, our eyes have a lot of pressure taking place with the changes that we're seeing in our realm, and it does not feel good. With that, yeah, we kind of can expect head pressure, but I want to talk about the moving and quivering headache. It's not really a headache. It kind of feels like there are, and I know this is gross, but like brain worms moving all around in our head. And it does create a little bit of a tension point, and then we feel that release. And then it kind of pokes up somewhere else. We feel this quivering, these nerve pulsations in our crown, and then it moves to a different place. This is basically our crown just accepting new energy codes coming in from the cosmos, coming in from the solar flares. It does kind of feel weird. It's a weird sensation. It does kind of feel gross. It's accompanied by confusion, by dizziness. Of course, we have a lot of rapid thoughts taking place ever since Mercury went direct. A lot of ideas. We're very scatterbrained. We're having a hard time focusing. And there's a lot of pressure in our heads to sort things out, to figure things out, to kind of, resolve some of the problems that we have been illuminated to. And, under this boiling point, this volcano point that we will be experiencing this weekend, we can kind of expect a lot of that pressure in our heads to be activated. So pay attention to the discomfort or the moving headache in your head, because that is kind of where the energy is trying to rebalance itself out, coming into the crown. We do have this interdimensional overlap that I talked about in last week's Ascension Forecast, really kind of illuminating for us where we are picking up on sights and sounds and sensory experiences that aren't of this world, that aren't of this 3D environment that we're currently in. That can be very disorienting. This can be very frightening as well. If you're seeing figures, if you're seeing orbs, if you're hearing people call out your name that just literally aren't in the realm of your existence right now, it can be a little bit frazzling. I want to remind you that we do not want to step into the fear realm at all. That is the worst vibration that we could possibly sit in. It does fuel the fire for the dark force agenda. We want to make sure that we are doing whatever it is that we can to calm ourselves, to validate for us, to empower ourselves, to stay in the realm of surety, of certainty, uncertainty, of courage. The last thing we want to do is to dive into those lower vibrational frequencies of emotion, and fear is by far the worst one that we could possibly sit in. We are going to be feeling a lot of pain, again, a lot of tension in our, I'm going to say, sciatic nerves, in our lower extremities, in our hips, in our butts. Why? Well, because we're giving birth, and we are essentially feeling that pressure build up in that particular area because of the pressure coming down the birth canal. Now, I don't care if you actually have a biological birth canal in you, okay? We're not talking about the actual physical birthing process, but we're talking about energetically speaking, we're having a lot of energy in the lower chakras, okay? And we need to kind of understand that our physical bodies are changing with the rapid changes to our energetic bodies as well. And this can feel very painful. And especially in the lower extremities, we're having a hard time gaining a solid footing. And there's so many changes happening right now that we don't even know what stability means underneath our feet. We will learn this as we move through the next couple of weeks. We will be feeling a lot more solid, but as of right now, there's a lot of pain, a lot of tremors, a lot of shaking, a lot of instability taking place from the hips down. We will continue to see a lot of heart chakra activations, mostly because, first of all, we are going through a very, very intense weekend with energies that are meant to crack our heart chakra wide open. We are going to be having rapid heart rates. A lot of this is because Venus and the Sun in Libran energy are trying to balance the scales of our heart chakra. We're still going to continue to see the relationship changes. Let me just tell you, if you're in a relationship and it didn't fall apart underneath the retrograde, it may fall apart up until about Scorpio season. And if you're able to survive these particular chapters, these particular energetic shifts, then you, my friends, are in it for the long haul. Relationship values are taking a hit because every single time we level up, we have to initiate new boundaries. And some people are not willing to meet us where it is that we need to be met in order to grow together. Therefore, we grow apart. And this is either committing to and intensifying the intimacy in relationships, or we're cutting off the dead weight. So because of that, we're still going through a lot of heart chakra activations. I will say that you may find it very hard to breathe this week, whether it feels like you're breathing through a straw, restricted airways, just that you're not able to take a deep breath in. There is, again, a recalibration going on in our heart space. We had our solar plexus reactivated, realigned, recalibrated last week. That's the pain underneath the ribs in our digestive system as well. And now we're moving more into the heart chakra area, the chest area, and we are going to feel a lot of pressure on our shoulders and on our chest. We have a lot of skin eruptions taking place this week. So pimples, rashes, blisters, canker sores, any kind of blemish that you could possibly see on your skin could possibly be erupting this week. We want to take that as a good sign that we are detoxing our internal organs, that, you know, again, the skin kind of being the last sign of what it is that we are releasing. This is where the eruptions come from, that heat, those energy blockages in our inner realm, coming to the surface for release, for acknowledgement, and for us to kind of, you know, address and take more care of, so that we can help this recalibration system, this series that our system is going through, kind of go through this very painful, uncomfortable process with as much grace and ease as possible. So skin eruptions, not interruptions, although it could interrupt a lot of things. Having a pimple on the tip of your nose right before a date definitely puts a damper on things, but we're going to move through it. We're going to move past it. What I want to talk about is a lot of the mouth issues. Now, we have been experiencing some dysfunction in our teeth, some canker sores, some sore gums. Have you ever felt like your teeth were wiggling, like they're cracking, clicking, and popping, like they may fall out? Well, if you haven't, you may this week. Now, I don't want you to be totally concerned, because it is just, again, a recalibration that we are going through, a strengthening of our structures, if you will. But it does kind of feel weird. It is semi-concerning at times. It definitely feels very foreign to have your mouth be in this particular state of just weirdness. I do want to talk about the fact that temperature wise, we will likely be feeling very cold. It may be hard to maintain your body heat, a stable body heat at that, as we go through this week. A lot of that plays into basically our blood feeling like we're on fire. Again, full moon in Aries, volcanic eruptions in our inner realm, but in our outer realm, it feels like we're having a hard time staying warm. So it's a very kind of complex oxymoron that our blood can be boiling, at lava type of temperatures, but yet overall physically feel cold and like we aren't able to stay warm. Again, Libra season, we're trying to balance the scales out. The coldness is coming from having cold feet, for knowing that we're moving into a time where we have to initiate change and transformation. We're not technically quite prepared to do that as of yet, but we have no choice. We're kind of being pushed into having to be brave and courageous. Again, staying conscious, facing our fears, facing what it is that we're just absolutely uncomfortable to face. And a lot of that is just, again, bringing the unconscious fears, doubts, and insecurities that have been kind of programming and dictating our experiences by running this old programming and conditioning in the back of our minds into consciousness, into awareness, so that we're aware of what's going on in the background. We're aware of the program running. For computer systems, and you get all these programs running that you don't even know about. Well, the minute that you bring that window up and you're able to see all the programs running, then you can kind of see where the defaults are, what needs to be deleted, what needs to be shut down, what program needs to be rewritten. I want you to pay attention to the change in your skin. Back to the skin eruptions here for a second. We are going to be on, I'm going to say, the side of oiliness. Oily skin, having this overabundance of oils come out on the surface of our skin. Again, a lot of that is a huge indication of just the recalibration that we're going through. Pay attention to your ear wax. There's going to be a lot more ear wax coming out of your ears this week than there has been in past weeks. And again, that is just I'm going to say, a good indication of new lubrication, of the purge, of the purification that we're going through in order to enter into a new level of, I'm going to say, awareness, a new level of functionality, a new level of trying to get our biological and energetic systems in alignment with each other. But even though we have oily skin and an overabundance of earwax, we will probably continue to have dry patches of skin, again, skin eruptions, but also dry eyes and dry lips. Keep those eyes lubricated. Again, we're having a hard time really processing the new truth that we are kind of being thrown into. And our lips, of course, are taking the brunt because we're holding a lot of truth back, biting our lips, biting our tongue from actually speaking our piece, contributing to the overall discomfort taking place in the throat chakra as well. And we're just going to really see the extreme unbalanced energies of where we can be super oily in one area, having a lot of, earwax build up, but yet be desperately needing that oil, that moisture, that lube, if you will, in other areas of our body that are just dried out and just broken down. I want to talk about the exhaustion. Now, we kind of touched on this in my earlier rant about just kind of being at the ending point of this birthing process where we just don't think we can do it. A lot of the exhaustion is because the astral realm is changing as well. All the dark force entities are coming out fighting in the astral realm. So many of us are working overtime in our sleep state. It's essentially like we're never waking up rested at all. And let me just say that the second coming, if you will, if you want to get biblical with this shit, the second coming is just around the corner, especially with Chiron, the wounded healer, embodying the qualities and characteristics of Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is supposed to be, re-entering the realm of the clouds, which is basically the ethereal realm, the astral realm. And because, the darker force entities, if you will, know that the Christ consciousness is allowed to enter back into the ethereal and astral realms, they are just coming out of fighting. And that's why many of us are having nightmares. Many of us, well, if you're lucky enough to sleep, I don't know. There's some of you out there that are having a good time sleeping, but I am not one of them. So if you are lucky enough to be sleeping and you are entering into a dream state, It is likely very combative, very fear-based, if you will, because the dark force entities of the interdimensional astral realms that we kind of move into in our sleep state, they're just coming out of fighting. They are doing whatever it is that they can to invoke as much fear in the collective as possible, because they know that their days are numbered with the second coming of Christ consciousness just around the corner. And this is why I say to you, from now until March of 2023, we have a whole lot of push going on to get as many people awakened as possible. May I remind you, it is not your job to awaken people. It is something that they naturally decide upon in their soul contract. You cannot talk somebody into being awakened. You cannot help somebody that is of lower vibration of you to get to a new vibration that is equivalent to where it is that you're at. It's like you're speaking a different language to them. It is one of the, I'm going to say, downfalls of being a light worker, is wanting to wake up those that you love, but it is not your job, your responsibility to interrupt their karma by pushing a concept onto them that they are not ready to wake up to. So you can release the stress, you can release the urgency that you may be feeling to, preach the truth and to open people's eyes up to the truth, to awaken them so that they're not left behind and locked into this 3D slavery prisoner hellhole for the rest of their soul's existence. But again, it is not your job. Okay, so please just remind yourself, it is not your job. The best thing that you can do is to be your truest, most authentic light, because that light is what people see when they are ready to wake up. You do want to be that beacon of light for those that are, freshly waking up and being confused and kind of disoriented. So shine your light as bright as possible. That is all you can do, because it is not your job, nor do you have the power to awaken up the people around you. But this exhaustion is kind of coming at a weird time, because we're in a time warp. I don't know if you noticed, but time is just absolutely wonky as hell. It feels like we are making changes and just moving through this world at the speed of light, but yet we're at a standstill at the same time. We're all discombobulated, and gravity isn't the same, and time isn't the same, and light and night are just different concepts at this time, and the sun doesn't look the same and the moon doesn't look the same. And essentially we are rewriting the code that the Matrix was birthed and born under. And again, that's why I encourage you to pay attention to astrology and learn those cheat codes so that you can override the system. So guys, that's all that I have for you this week. I hope that helps. I hope it resonates with you. I hope it validates your experience. Mostly what I hope it does is just reassure to you that you're not alone. You're not alone in this process. You're not alone in this journey. You're not alone in this lifetime. We are all going through this together, and we will all be triumphant and celebrate our victories together. And I know that this can be a very, deep and dark and damaging process to move through, and it can definitely highlight your deepest, darkest demons and your pains and your triggers and your traumas and your fears. But we signed up. We are able to do this. We are light warriors for this reason and for this reason only. We have absolutely what it is that we need and what it takes in order to win this battle, to fight this fight. And I just need you to remind yourself of the power that you actually have, and that you're not alone, that you can connect with like-minded people anytime here on this channel and in these forecasts and in this chat. And I just want to thank you so much for continuing to show up here time and time again, to share your time, to share your energy, to share your presence with all of us. And of course, although I thank you for showing up for me, I mostly thank you for showing up for yourself. You are just an amazing soul being. You are an amazing spirit. I know you're tired, but we have a little bit more work to do. So give yourself the rest, give yourself the energetic break that you need, and then dig deep, because we're about to push. We're on the home stretch. We are in the final minutes of this very, very tough sport that we've been playing. Whether you know it or not, we are in the final moments, and it is time to kind of dig deep and to bring out the best that you got. So let's do this. Let's align. Let's just move through this very, very intense weekend together. Let's keep our kind of eyes on the prize here. And I just want you to know that I love every single freaking one of you, that I appreciate all the love, all the support. And I'm just so grateful that we're all going through this together. Sending you nothing but love. We'll talk to you soon.